Hey everybody, this is Deborah Richmond, and we are here today to talk about turning your email list into cash with e-newsletters. Now, in this hour, we are going to be talking about e-newsletters and how it is that you can use them effectively, or maybe more effectively if you've already gotten started in your business, to bring in more customers and more sales to your business. So before we get started, let me just tell you a little bit more about myself. If you have not met me before, about 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago, I was working for an insurance company in the marketing department, and I was one day brought into the office, and in the span of 5 minutes, I was laid off. I lost my job, I lost my income, and I lost all of my benefits in a very few minutes. And that day was quite a shock. I decided that day that I was going to start my own business so that that would never happen to me again. And so I started TechBuzz Marketing. Now, when I first started TechBuzz, I was doing consulting work. I was going to be doing very simple, traditional marketing. That's what I had been doing in the past, and so I was going to offer those services. Once I got out and started really networking with small business owners, what I've discovered was that social media was very much top of their mind, and they had no idea what to do with it. Most people had been hearing about it quite a bit, not understanding the concepts, not understanding how spending time on social media and online was going to really market their business. So I started immersing myself. I was very fascinated with that topic, immersing myself in learning more about social media and how you market your business online. And what I discovered was that, yes, social media can be used very effectively to market your business, but there were specific steps that needed to be taken in order to make that work. So I just started doing lots of testing of different strategies with my own business and started seeing what works and what doesn't work. And here's what I discovered. I discovered that social media is only the beginning step. Yes, it's very effective at getting new people to your business, but in order to really follow that contact through to make real sales and build your business and bring in new customers, there needed to be other things that came along with social media. One was you needed to have a really good website. One was you needed to have a way to bring people back again and again to your website once you got them there. So you meet them on social media, you bring them to your website, and then you bring them back again. So the piece that was missing for most businesses was an email list and a way to, and a consistent plan to contact that email list in order to bring people back again and again for good information on your website. That's where the sales happen. The sales happen from that email list. I discovered that by using it in my own business, and now I've used it with clients along the way since then when I'm training clients, or even when I'm working these strategies for clients. So some people hire me to do that as well. And so today we're going to focus on that piece that is so often missing, and that is the newsletters. So let's start talking about why it is that you really want to start looking at newsletters. I know you're thinking about it, and if you're still trying to make that decision, if you want to jump in, let's take a look at some reasons why I think that you should. 91% of consumers check their email daily. We know this. We check our email very frequently. I check my email several times a day. Whether that's a good practice or not for myself, I'm not sure, but I do. 66% of consumers have made a purchase online as a result of an email marketing message. That's good. That's a good number to know. That means it's working. That means that we are paying attention to what's in our inbox. Maybe we're not paying attention to everything, but we are paying attention to things that are coming in. 76% of email opens occur in the first 2 days after an email is sent. This I know from experience. I have seen this in my own testing and my own email marketing, that when I send out an email, people are opening it within the first couple of days, and after that I may get a trickle of people who open, but for the most part it's pretty immediate when I send something out. 7 in 10 people say they made use of a coupon or discount from a marketing email in the prior week. If you're a retail store, if you are someone who uses coupons and discounts, this is really good news. This means that those places that you're trying to reach people with those discounts and coupons, you can beef that up by using email marketing to really get people's attention. For every dollar spent, $44 is the average return on email marketing investment. So this number is an average of a test that's been done by Experian in the past. This number is going to be different for every business, but what it's telling us is that there is a much larger return for most businesses for that dollar spent. So those dollars will be, time you invest in this, and if you hire out some of this work to outside sources, you're going to get a return on your investment. So how does an email newsletter make money? This is the question that you really need to know before you start using newsletters, because you want to make sure that you're not just throwing information out there that's falling on deaf ears. But here's why the email newsletter works. It keeps you in front of buyers. And I'm going to take these slowly because these are very important. When I send out an email, I send out emails sometimes once a week, and then sometimes I send out emails once a month. And it just depends on how long you've been on my email list. We're going to talk about some of those things in more depth. And by the way, I intend for this hour to be a broad overview for us because I want you to understand these concepts before you jump in. At the end, I'm going to have some resources for you where you can get more in-depth information on how to start using email newsletters more effectively for your business. So, keeps you in front of buyers. This works very well for my business, and I can tell you by first-hand knowledge, when I send out email, that's when I start getting those inquiries back. So someone may be on my email list for a while, and then it may be several months they're on the list, and then I'm sending them regular emails, but suddenly they do email me back, and they have they have an inquiry about services or products, and it's almost always after they've received an email from me. It's that trigger. We sign up for a list, we're kind of paying attention, we're not reading everything, and then there's a point when we're ready for more information or to start acquiring services from a business. It's usually that email that's the trigger that reminds us, that's right, I meant to contact them, I wanted to find out more. It's not always immediate, and that's why an email newsletter is super valuable. When people first come to my website, they have seen it for the first time and they're very interested. But if I have no way of continuing to make contact with them, they will go away and forget about me. That's just, we see so much stuff, so much information comes in front of us every day, that's the mechanism, that's what happens. So that's why this staying in front of them is super duper important. Now, I have people who are on my email list and they're pretty ready to buy within the first few emails. Then I also have people on my email list that have been on for over a year, sometimes over 2, who then come back and contact me and are ready for more information or to buy the next product or to check out more services. Everybody's on a different timetable. We get on email lists because we're interested, but it may be a while till we're ready. So this allows us to stay in front of everyone for as long as they're interested. Okay, the next point, you become a valuable resource for buyers. And this is true. Almost everything we buy now, we are checking out services and products online first. We're just Googling it up, finding out some information. Some purchases we don't need much information, we can buy. Others we need some time, we need some information. And so that's what you can become for your buyers. In order to keep them opening your emails, you want to be very valuable. We're going to talk about that a little more coming up here. But you want to be a resource. You don't just want to be broadcasting advertisements, because none of us will open those emails. We're very picky because we get so much in our email. So we'll only open those emails that have true value in them. And it usually means value before we buy anything. And so those are the types of emails that we're going to want to start, as business owners, we're going to want to start thinking about how can we add value through our email newsletters. And that's what we want to do very regularly. Next point, allows you to promote new products and services. This is a fantastic and very obvious way to use email. Obviously, when you have a sale coming up, Christmas is coming, and you have a product that you want to push for Christmas, you can send an email out. Talk about that product, talk about the special deal you have for it for this month, for next month, whatever it may be, and you will receive sales from people who have been thinking about that product, and now that's going to be enough of an incentive to get them to buy buy. So that one's pretty obvious. A new service, talk about that service, because you want to make sure that if you are a service business, your clients may know one or two of the services you offer, but they may not know all of the services that you offer. So you want to make sure that you're educating them on everything you have to offer. Okay, the next one allows you to announce sales and special deals. Same thing. That's pretty obvious. Here's one that some people don't necessarily think of right away, but your email list allows you to promote events. Now, this one does come up, and it's not always the first thing you think of, but along the way, you may be a business that you may have a speaking event if you're a consultant or a professional. You may have a trade show that's coming up that you are going to be involved in. Those types of things that this allows you a way to promote this to the people who are most interested in you. So this is very good for your business personally. It's also very good for instance, if you are a speaker and you're working to gain more speaking events, it helps convince the organizations you may want to get in front of. It helps to let them know, look, if I'm a speaker, I will be putting out this information to my list of 400, 500, 1,500, however many people you have on your email list. It's good to let them know that. So these are some things you need to be thinking about as far as how is it exactly your email newsletter makes you money. And, to really put it in a nutshell, you want to think about this. You want to be sending good information on a regular basis and occasionally be promoting those products, services, events that you have happening along the way. You're thinking about a newsletter, you want to know what all is entailed. Here's what you need to know. Creating a newsletter is fast and easy. It's really, once you set it up and you know the programs to use, it doesn't take long to do it. And there's several different ways to approach how you put a newsletter together. But let me just tell you how I put mine together, just to give you one example. I have a blog on my website that I write articles for a couple times a month, and what I do, this for me is the most automated way to put a newsletter together. A blog is very useful for me because I'm able to promote those blog posts on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on all the different social media. But not only do I take the time and write those articles, if I'm going to take that much time to write articles, and it takes me about an hour to write each one, I'm going to use that over and over as many times as possible. A newsletter is a way that I can reuse those articles again and get them in front of people all on my email list, not just the people who happen to be on my blog today. So what I do is I write the blog posts, and then about once a month, an email goes out that lists all the recent blog posts. It'll give the first paragraph, and it will then give a link where readers can come back to my website. So you see what I've done is I've created content for my blog, and now I'm using it again in a newsletter in a way that means now putting that type of newsletter together only takes me a few minutes extra time. It doesn't take me a whole nother 2 or 3 hours to put together by writing more articles. I'm going to use what I have already. The people on my email list probably have not seen my most recent article. This allows them to come back and see everything as I write it, and they stay current on what I'm putting out there. Now, people, again, they don't come back and read everything, but they'll go through my email and they'll see the articles that interest them, and they will click on them, come back. Now I can see what they're interested in. I can see which topics are most important to my audience. It gives me more good ideas about other things to write, and it becomes a much more automated way to do newsletters. Now let me tell you another way to do newsletters, which is that it doesn't use a blog, and that is if you have a business without a blog, you can do the same thing. You're simply writing those articles, and you're going to once a month put them into the full body of the article into your newsletter. And I wouldn't, a newsletter should not be very long. It should be relatively short because we all have very short attention spans when it comes to our email. A newsletter that I find in my mailbox, physically at my office or at my home, that can be 4 or 5 pages. I'm going to flip through that. But in my inbox, I don't tend to scroll to read. I want it to be pretty short. So it should only be a page or a page and a half because people really aren't going to scroll more than that. So it doesn't, first of all, your newsletters don't have to be tons of content. They can be tidbits of content that come, but we do it regularly. Now there are programs, and the one that I use is Aweber. I've also used MailChimp, and I've used Constant Contact with some of my clients. Those are all good programs to use in order to put together a nice newsletter much more easily. You don't need to have a publishing program like ones that come Windows Publisher and things like that. You don't need to be putting that newsletter together from scratch. These programs will give you templates that you can plug in your graphics and keep them there, so that each time you send an email, your template is there and ready. All you have to do is plug in the new articles that you're going to be putting out there. So there are programs that make that easy to do. Let's go to the next point. Newsletters help you further develop your brand. And again, this is because we have these templates that we can use over and over again. You're going to want your newsletter. I always recommend have your newsletter use the same branding that your website does. So you probably have your logo on there. You probably have graphics that you like, that you've chosen specifically for your professional brand. Use those same graphics and colors and fonts as much as possible in your newsletter template, because then when people open it, they will recognize, yes, this is the same company, this is the same business. So when they open my template, they see my they'll see your header at the top, and then when they go to your website, they'll see the same one. That's a really good way to keep your branding moving forward. You always want to, whenever possible, have that branding recognizable. Your mailing list is the ultimate way to communicate with your target audience, and this is such a wonderful mechanism for reaching those people who've already raised their hand to say they're interested. So on your website, you should have a place where people can sign up for your newsletter. We've all seen this, and I can tell you that if you haven't started looking into this, the way that you make that very easy is, again, through these software programs such as Aweber or MailChimp or Constant Contact. They give you that mechanism to have that opt-in list on your website. Now, these programs also make it very easy that when someone signs up for your website, that list is going to maintain itself. You are not going to have to do a lot of things. That list will maintain itself. We all have been on lists before where we've signed up and then we've unsubscribed. Unsubscribing is a very good thing. When people unsubscribe from your email list, you should don't see that as a negative thing. It's a good thing, because what it means is you can rest assured that the people who are on your email list are most likely still very interested in hearing from you and hearing about your products and services. And for those people who you're no longer a fit for them, they will take themselves off. That's a fantastic mechanism. The alternative is, and then many of you may have email lists that you have been building in the past, and you have them on a spreadsheet on your computer, or you might even have them written down on a paper list somewhere in your files. That type of list, as you know, if you've been building it for very long, very quickly becomes outdated. You have emails that no longer go to anybody and they bounce back to you, meaning that you get an email that says, we were not able to deliver this message. So you have old emails on there. You have people who aren't in the market for what it is you sell any longer, yet they're still receiving things from you, and it's really just inefficient. So you may end up with a list of 3,000 people, but it might really only be 1,000 who are still interested. So that's this way, by having people unsubscribe themselves, and they will, and we do, this allows the list to stay current without you having to do anything. There are other features in these programs that help along the way that you don't have to do anything, and that is that if I send an email out to my list, the Aweber will send out, and if it finds those dead emails, it will take them out of my list. So again, keeps that list much more current for me. So that's something that again, You want that list to stay current, so when you email, you can be you can feel very good about knowing that the people who are interested are receiving it. Now again, these are people who are interested because most people on their email list will have previous customers and clients. Those are definitely people who have been interested in the past and are likely to be interested again. People who showed interest in the past, if I come to your website and I sign up for your email newsletter, I'm very interested. This is how email becomes such a much better way of you getting your message out than, say, advertising. Because if you were to advertise in a newspaper or a program of some sort, or you're just blasting out this message for whoever might happen to see it. A small fraction will actually be interested. And in the past, that was the best way for us to do things. But this is a much better way because I know that the people on my list already at least once were interested and will be again. And then the last point on this page is a newsletter is not spam. Now, I mean a couple of things by that. Some people, first of all, you don't want to be spammy. You want to send good information. These are people who are, like I said, already interested. So you know you're not just throwing things in front of them that they would consider spam. The other thing is that it's not spam. Some people, as they start to write a newsletter, they're very worried. They're worried that, well, maybe these people really don't want me showing up in their inbox. But again, they've given us permission. They have the ability to unsubscribe, which they will do if they're not interested. You don't have to worry about this being spam as long as you have permission from people to send. And that's why, again, the lists, the Aweber program, Constant Contact, MailChimp, those are very important because they allow us to know we have gotten permission. Now, this is a question, I'm going to answer a question that I get very frequently from people who do already have an email list, but you've never had it, you're not using any type of program yet. And the question is, am I allowed to send to those people? The generic, kind of general answer is, if you have someone on an email list that you have sent to in the past because they were a client or a prospect, someone who signed up at a trade show, those types of things, you have permission to send to them. You are not a spammer if you have those people on your list. What you don't want to do is you don't want to buy a list. I know there are companies that are still selling lists. I know those companies will tell you that it's okay to buy these lists and that they say they have pre-approved them. It's not true. You do not have permission to just buy a list and start sending email to them. That is spam. Now, there are strict rules because we actually have spam laws. These actually are laws that you can be prosecuted for. So we have to take it seriously as far as who we're sending to. It's very tempting to buy a list and send it to. Number one, you can't do it because it's against the law to do that, to send unwanted things. Can you get away with it? Sure, maybe you can, but I discourage all of the people I work with, all of my clients, do not buy lists. Not only are you really walking a fine line, but also it's just not effective. You're going to have a lot of people on a list who never wanted to hear from you, never have heard of you before, and they're not going to want to see your emails. I've tested these things. I've had clients who adamantly wanted to do this and try it, and so they tried it, and I watched the results, and they just did not get responses from these lists. That's not what we want. We want people who are really interested. So we want to spend a little bit of time making sure the people on our list actually want to hear from us, have actually signed up, and then your email is going to really be worth the time. There really is no point in spending time creating a nice newsletter but sending it to people who aren't going to open it. No point in that at all. And so by using social media, by using your website, by getting people signing up who are truly interested, then our marketing is going to have much more power behind it. So let's talk about what you do want to put into a newsletter. That's probably the question on your mind at this point. What do I write about? These are just a few things to think about that will probably fit most of you. Will find a couple of things on this list that will work. Short articles that share your expertise. people come to you and they buy your product and they want to know more about it. You are the expert. Whether it's one product you're selling, whether it's services, whether you are a professional such as a lawyer, a tax professional, all of you have expertise that your customers come to you for. This is the place for you to really start sharing that information, and they want to hear it. They want to know what it is you know about things. So when you hear different industry news, share that. If you have just more information about how to use specifically your type of product, share that information in short articles. Tips and FAQs. These are really popular with most businesses. Lists of tips is always popular. People like that fast list to be able to skim through. FAQs. Questions that people are asking you. If you have an FAQ page on your website, start using each one of those frequently asked questions and create a short article about it. Every time you talk to customers and clients, when they ask you questions, listen to what their questions are and make a list of future articles you will write. I do this very frequently. When I talk to my clients and customers and they have questions, after I either leave the meeting or hang up the phone, I will sit for just a second and think, what were the questions they asked me that I was answering for them? Make a list of those and then just put them in a file, put them in a drawer, put them somewhere where later, when it's time for you to write an article, you can come back to. Those are very often the most popular articles that you will write. New product previews. If you have something coming out, talk about it. Talk about why you're adding a new product. Talk about it as you are, before you even have the product introduced, that you're starting to think about. Talk about the solution that this product will be for what is the problem this will fix. Start talking about those things, and then when the product comes out, fully go through the product and the different features and why this product is something you wanted to offer. Announcement of sales and discounts, of course, always very, very good to add, and that's usually the most obvious ones that people will think of using your email for, and by all means do. Again, these are people who have been hearing from you and getting good information, and they look to you to know when you've got sales and discounts. Industry news and updates. This is a good one for many of you. You know what's happening in your industry, and your customers and clients can benefit from that. And you don't always have an opportunity to sit and talk with all of your clients and customers about the different things happening. Your newsletter is a great place to start sharing those things. And then a call to action. You always want, in your articles, you do always want a call to action. Now let me just talk for a minute about what a call to action is. The reason you want a call to action is because the way that the psychology of how we gather information now is that there's lots and lots of information, and if we start looking at information, we want to know what's our next logical step. What's the next thing? If we're still interested in more, what's the next action we should take? And so for all of these, an article, the call to action may simply be clicking to read the full article on your website, or the call to action, if you share an article, might be clicking a link to see a YouTube video that is something related to it, or maybe it's even your own YouTube video. But clicking to find more content on an article, that's a good call to action. If your article talks very specifically about a problem that you have a product or service that is a solution, then a link to that page where they can find out more about your product or service is a good call to action. Tips and FAQs, same thing. Same thing as far as frequently asked questions. If you have an article on a particular topic, put in a link or two that gives people more information where to go. Products and services, of course, the new products, of course, link to the page where you're now offering that new product on your website, or if there's more information on your website about that product. Announcement of sales and discounts. Maybe if you are a physical store and you need people to come in order to take advantage of those sales, then maybe have specific days of the sale. A call to action would be to come visit you on those days. Maybe a call to action is the phone number, so they can call and they can find out more about when the sale is going to begin. Industry news and updates. If you are talking about things that are happening out in the industry, then links to other articles, to other organizations that have more information. just being a good source of more information out on the internet about particular topics is a good call to action. Okay, so let's now start talking about how are you going to start a newsletter. You've been thinking about a newsletter. You're starting to think, yes, I think this is something I need to do. What do we need to do now? So the first thing that you need to do when you're ready to start a newsletter is you need to start pulling together those emails you already have, if you do already have them. So this may mean that you're going to go through your old client files. You're going to pull out emails. It may mean you have a list on a spreadsheet, or you might have 8 or 9 spreadsheets. I've seen some companies. You want to pull those out and start getting them in one place. Ideally, what you want to do is all the emails you already have, you want to get them onto a spreadsheet, a digital spreadsheet, that you are then going to be able to upload into either Aweber or Constant Contact. You're going to be able to put in the ones you already have, people you've already been emailing once in a while. You probably are emailing once or twice a year. You might be blasting out a message to that list. That list should be in here now. And you're going to put them on a spreadsheet. You're going to upload them to one of these programs so that you can have the beginnings of your email list. This will become the list that will be the same list that now we'll continue to keep adding to through your website. You need to add that opt-in form to your website so that now people can continue to sign up. And in fact, what you really want to do now is once you have this set up in Aweber or one of those programs, you want to now, whenever you have someone that you would like to get on your email list, encourage them to do it themselves on your website, because you want them on that list. And it's best if they do it themselves, because then they will see they're going to start getting information from you, and they'll have that heads up. So when they see you in their email, they will open it. So adding that form to your website is very, very important. Start using the lists such as Aweber and Constant Contact and MailChimp. Start reading about the lists, finding which one you want to use, and sign up for it and get yourself set up. Now, most of the 3 that I've talked about are pretty easy to use, but it will take you a little bit of time to learn how to use them. They're not difficult, but the first time, if you've never used an email manager, it's going to be brand new to you. So to give yourself some time and cut yourself some slack as far as it's going to take me set some time aside to start reading about how you use it and to start getting things set up. Once you have it all set up, it becomes very fast and easy to use it every week, every month, whatever it is you decide as far as pace. Decide whether you're going to use a plain email or to create a template. Now, this is one that most newsletters I'm seeing are with a template. I can tell you that my newsletter that I started 5 years ago is a plain newsletter, which means it looks like an email. Now, you've all seen these from me. You have seen me in your inbox, and I don't use a graphic and those sorts of things. There's a very specific reason I do that, and that is because I am my business. And I want the message to come to you from me personally. So I want that to be a regular email. However, it is an email that I'm sending out to everyone on my list. So that's something to consider. If you are going to be sending out newsletters from you personally, and for many businesses this works very, very well, consider using a plain email. It's not what most people use, but if you like that, definitely use it. It's effective. The other way is to create a template and many of my clients prefer this. They are a larger business, so we create a template that has their header at the top with the graphic that matches their website. It'll have on the side, it'll have how to reach them on Facebook and how to reach their website and information like that, and then the body underneath it. And we're going to look at some newsletters here coming up, but start thinking about now, before you get started, what you want that newsletter to look at, and start signing up for some other newsletters so you can see what other people in your industry are doing, so you can start making these decisions. And then you also, before you get started, you want to think about what is your schedule. Are you going to be sending a newsletter once a month? Are you going to be sending a newsletter once a week? What is that schedule going to be? I sent I send a newsletter once a week. I find for email that's not too much. The people who are interested stay on my list and they hear from me once a week. And again, it's because I'm not just sending them advertisements, I'm sending them good information. And you will be too. So that's why once a week is not out of the question. If you don't think you can keep that pace and you need to go twice a month or once a month, then decide, that now is the time to decide that. I wouldn't go farther out than once a month. I do have some businesses who prefer to go with once a quarter. I find that to be pretty far apart. I think it's more effective to at least send newsletters once a month because you want to, again, become that resource for your customers, and in order to do that, they need to get used to hearing from you frequently. Okay, so let's start looking at some of these different types of newsletters so you can start thinking about these things. This is one that I receive in my email from a business called Internet Business Mastery. And this company simply talks about how to create an internet business. And so you can see here at the top they have they do something very simple. They do the name at the top. They give you what they send you audio podcasts. This company does a large part of its marketing through a podcast that I listen to. And so that medium, not only their audience is very used to their audience is very much a listening audience. So they could send articles, and they do from time to time, but they do like to send the Listen Now button so you can click it and you can go to an audio recording to listen to. And so they have just a very simple photo, they have just a very quick description, and Listen Now. They've kept this very simple. When I open my email, I don't have to scroll. I see everything I need to hear, and then if I can decide whether to go ahead and listen to the podcast or not. Very simple. Here are some more traditional looking newsletters that you may think of more often when you think of newsletters. So we have the header at the top. This is a supplier's newsletter. So this company sells to suppliers, and so they are gearing their articles to their audience. So first they're telling you the suppliers forum is on the ball. They're giving some information about their forum. Marketing insights. Here they're sharing their industry news because obviously they are dealing with suppliers who want to know what's happening in the industry, and so they're going to share as much of that information that they have with their customers. And they have a photo of the people in their company. Yep, their sales and marketing team looks like. And that's a really nice way to use your newsletter, is to start putting a face on your company. If it's you, and you can include your photo of things that you're doing in your business. And if you have staff and you have a larger company, this is a nice place to start showing off the different people in your company. It's just, we do so much work by email that sometimes it's nice for your customers to see the other people who maybe they are getting on the phone when they call your company, or they're seeing by email. So a great place to start putting more personality and putting a face on your company for your customers. So again, this one's very simple. It has two different articles that we see right here on the front page, and they have pin it, so they're obviously on Pinterest. You're able to use that feature as well. So let's take another. This is for a nice newsletter from one attorney. He is with a larger firm, but it looks like his newsletter is specifically from him. So it could be that each attorney has their own marketing plan and their own way of marketing, and he's chosen a newsletter. And so he has the branding of the website here with the name of the company. And this is Working for Justice is their tagline, a date so that you know which one you're looking at, which version you're looking at, which edition. Good contact information on the side, that's fantastic. And then he's highlighting, at least on this first page, one article, beating the insurance company at their own game. So this is clearly information that his clients will be interested in. He's included his photo with his name. Even though his clients already know who he is, this is a great way to immediately, when you open it, you know that it's from Ira. And you know that who that is that's talking, and it's clear who's written the article. This is a very good template, a very good type of newsletter for any professionals. And again, just sharing your expertise, because that is what your clients come to you for. Okay, so let's take a look at a slightly different type of business. This is for wedding planners, and so everything is about weddings. Very appropriate. Top of the newsletter has a header that probably matches their website. Hopefully it does. Talks about, gives their name and of course their tagline, telling what they do. Very important. And then welcome to the VIP Wedding Newsletter, so you know what it is you're getting. They have beautiful photography. The wedding business, beautiful photography goes hand in hand with this business, and so they're using it in their newsletter. Now I will just say a couple things about images here. Using a lot of images can be a little bit risky, and the reason is because of the spam filters we all have on our email. When you first open a newsletter, most email programs, many of them anyway, are set so that when you first open it, none of the photos will show up, and you have to click a button. Most people using their email know that that's the case, and so they will, very quickly click the button. However, if you have an email program that has turned off all the images as the default, when you open this particular newsletter, you're not going to see much text at all. You're going to see like a blank space, blank space, blank space, then you'll see a little bit of text. So this is something to really think about. I think if this were my business, what I would want to do, knowing all of that, is I would want to include some beautiful photography here on the side, and then I would include more text that has links, because then you can link to my website where all of the beautiful photography will show up and will showcase these things that brides and grooms are looking for and want to see. So I would just tone that down a little bit with the images. But you can see here they're talking about an upcoming event. That's perfect. That's perfect because your email newsletter is a great place, again, for showcasing the events coming up that you're participating in. And here's the call to action. Here's the place where you can then click to see many more shows. So they're giving you an idea of what they want you to do. This is probably a link for Fabulous Designs. If not, it should be a link where you can go back to their website to see more about it. And then let's take a look at the next one. This is called Tax Matters. This is for a CPA business, and this is going to be a place for this type of business has loads of information that they can share with their clients and customers. So they have at the top just a very simple header. Hopefully it matches their website or has at least the same colors as their website. Tax strategies for you and your business. That's very good to have a tagline that tells exactly what's in this newsletter. And in this particular newsletter, they have kind of a table of contents. So this is a much longer newsletter. It's not just 1 or 2 articles. It's actually 5 or 6. Now you can do that. I would much more rather to see 1 or 2 articles, but that they send this more frequently. I don't know how frequently that they're sending this particular one, but I would break it up, and that's why, whereas maybe we're used to seeing the monthly newsletter that has 5 or 6 articles, they could easily break this up into a weekly. And especially because they could easily break this up into a weekly, also because a tax business is definitely the type of business where we go to know, we hire tax professionals because we need their expertise. They clearly have more information than we have, and we want to know what it is. So they can continue to put out good information that helps fill in their customers on information they need to know for their planning their taxes and their financial planning. Okay, and this one is, again, it's showing in this issue, and it's showing several different articles. Again, I don't think I would put this many in one edition. Most likely readers are going to come to this. And I like this, and don't get me wrong, I do like this newsletter. It has a very, at the top, it obviously has branding of colors. At the top has the name, gives you an idea of what they do. More than resumes, they're candidates. So this is an employee. This is actually, their niche is career openings in the copier business. So that's very specific. But I think what I would do is, again, I would break this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 articles. They're probably doing monthly. I would do weekly. And the reason is because you're going to come to this particular newsletter and you're going to probably not read all of these. You're not going to click on all of them. You might click on a couple. So they've created 6 pieces of content when maybe they could have done 2, and actually gotten people to read. I want people to read. I'll usually do 2 pieces of content because I want them to read both pieces, if possible, and many people do. Not everybody does, but many people do. But if there are 6, not so much. So they could really get much more out of their newsletter, much more, I think, more, how can I say this, more eyes on the content they've spent that time creating if they were to break it up and show up more frequently. So I hope I've given you some good ideas about why you should have a newsletter, what's the real purpose and how do they really work for you, how you can get it, exactly how you want to use it in your business, and then what are some of the things you need to consider in order to get a newsletter started. That's been my purpose here today, but I did tell you that I'm going to give you some more information and a resource for you to go to, and this is the resource that I have for you. It is a report that is a very good price. It's The Art of Highly Effective E-Newsletters. In it, we're going to go through all of these things we've talked about in more detail and help you work through all the decisions you need to make getting started, and then giving you the where to go to get started on all the different pieces of a newsletter. It's a 60-page report. Everything you need to know is in here. So a lot of the things I didn't have time to go through more specifically, you can now get these details. You can make real sales from your email list. I've done it with my business. My clients have done it with their business and continue to do it. And this report right now is only $17. The price is usually higher, but this is for you guys. This is for you who have opened my email over and over in your own email list. I want you to have this valuable resource at a better price because I appreciate that you do open my emails that I have spent time to write. And so this is my thank you to you, is to give you a really good deal. Go to this website right here. It's called gotechbuzz.com/newsletter. That's where you're going to find out how to buy the special report. You will be able to download this immediately. Again, this is a really good price on a resource that is going to be something that you can take your time, work through, but it will keep you on track as you get set up in a newsletter and get started. If you have any further questions for me, please email me and let me know what it is that I can help you with. This report I wanted to put together because I saw so many people missing this piece of the puzzle. In order for your marketing online to really work, you need to be able to get in front of people. My newsletter is where I make money. I can write articles till the cows come home, and they can be fantastic, and many people read them, but it's the newsletter where I lead people through my sales process to get to where they can hire me for training, or they can buy the products that I offer. They can find out more about those products that I offer. My articles have given, and my YouTube videos and all of that have given my prospects the information to know that I know my stuff, that this is what I do, that this is the work that I do every single day, and that I do test this stuff and I do use this stuff. But then leading people through that funnel to the point where now they can find out more about how to get more from me as far as training or services or products. That's what my newsletter does for me. And that's what it can do for you. When I meet a business that doesn't have a newsletter and doesn't have an email list that they're using regularly, I know they're leaving money on the table. I know that we can use this mechanism to help them do better, to help them grow their business. I've done it over and over with the different clients I work with, and it's sometimes a process. It takes a while to set up for some companies. Some companies are able to to really put it together pretty quickly. But whether you're ready to go right now, or whether you're just getting started and just want more information about what the next steps might be, this particular report is going to be beneficial. You can download this report. You can read through it so you know what's coming. Often, that's the thing that will help you actually accomplish this goal of a newsletter, is just knowing what are all the steps coming up. And then go back, read the whole thing, see what's involved, look at the pages that you know that you maybe already have things in place, and then look at the ones that you know you need to put in place. Go back up to the beginning of the report now, and now walk through it step by step. It's a process that I've used whenever I have a new process that I need to learn. This works for me, and I know it's going to work for you too. Just knowing the steps involved will help you actually put this into practice, actually implement this, actually get your newsletter started. And I guarantee you, once you've got it set up, you've sent out a couple of email newsletters, now it's going to become a matter of just deciding on the process for you and your business, and then moving forward. The report is going to walk you through all those different decisions, all those different options you have as far as how to put your newsletter together, what you should be considering, and what's best for your type of business. So go check this out and pick this up. It's at a price that you just can't beat. This price is for a limited time. This is going to be only available for the next 7 days. So hopefully you've had a chance to view this very shortly after I've sent it to you. If not, you can still pick up this report on my website at techbuzzdigitalmedia.com. You can still pick it up there. The price will be a little bit higher. This particular price I'm showing you right now is because I want you to, those of you who are ready for this, I want you to get it now, and I want you to get started. There's no time like the present, and if you're thinking about this, now's the time to start learning about it so you can see what kind of time do you need to set aside to start implementing the steps that will need to happen for you to really get started. So again, that website is gotechbuzz.com/newsletter to pick up your discounted copy of The Art of Highly Effective E-Newsletters. Thank you again for joining me. Thank you for waiting for this video. For those of you who showed up live, I apologize again for the difficulty we had, and I hope you've enjoyed this particular webinar. I hope that it's answered a lot of questions for you, and I hope that you too will get started putting those pieces in place that are going to really allow you to move your business forward.